Hey everybody, welcome back to Joe Sends Wherever's Photos. It is cold here in Tennessee, and I know it's probably cold where you're at, unless you're in Florida or maybe California. I don't know, um, but certainly, I wish this was a real fireplace. This is the digital one that keeps me warm. But I got a fire pit in back, and we do have a fireplace in the living room, but it's just too noisy up there. I'm going to read a little bit of Revelations and Child Bride, Priscilla Presley, The Untold Story. But I did want to make an announcement for those that have not heard yet, but I'm going to be releasing a book January 1st. It's going to be available for pre-order, more than likely on the 17th through the 31st at a special price for every one of y'all. Send me your email address to this email that's scrolling down the bottom or sitting static. I'm going to give you a little preview if you didn't hear about it yesterday when I put out the Andrew video. And I might read a teeny bit into the first chapter as well for those of you that actually sent me the email, which there was about 75 people, 75 of you that emailed me yesterday, which was amazing. This is great. It's going to be available only on Amazon first for the first week and for the pre-order. So if you don't have an Amazon account, it's really easy. You just sign up with an email address, and then I'll send you guys the link in email, and you can pre-order it. It'll be available ebook. It'll also be available on print. Okay, I'm making sure we have paperback, hardback, and large print. So I'm not going to tell you the story of it, the title of it yet, but it is about it's kind of a companion book to Are You Lonesome Tonight. And Derry Matera is doing some reading right now of it. So he's talking about potentially writing a forward. But here's a little sample, okay? And just make sure you send me your email address by sending me an email to the rareelvisphotos@gmail.com. A lot of you are not subscribers that watch my videos. I think there's 30 to 40,000 unique viewers. Once again, you don't have a YouTube account to leave a comment, so just send me an email, please, to say pre-order list, whatever, your book pre-order. All right, my part of this story. I first read Are You Lonesome Tonight around the first time when I was 17 years old, singing at Don's American Barbecue in 29 Palms, California, a little dusty town just outside the Marine Corps base. I was just a kid then, a young country singer with a head full of dreams and a voice that was already beginning to carry me from one dusty stage out there to another. And when I opened Lucy's story for the very first time, when I was 17, something in it struck me so deeply that I carried it with me for more than 3 decades. And I believed it. Long before I had any charted country hits, long before I wrote songs with and for country music legends like Vern Gosdin, long before I wrote any TV theme songs, and long before I built a YouTube channel that was dedicated to Elvis Presley's history, long before I even ever imagined I would help restore a woman's truth to its rightful place, Lucy's story stayed with me. Life happened in between: tours, writing rooms, raising a family, countless nights on stage, and then as a grown man with more years behind me than ahead of me, I picked up the book again. And this time, I believed it even more. And so did you. Not long after, a subscriber on my YouTube channel reached out to me and told me they had a connection, a direct line, to Derry Matera, the best-selling author who co-wrote Lucy's story. See, they had watched my research, seen the passion in my work, and felt that I was someone who would oversee the truth with respect. Before long, I found myself in long, detailed conversations with Matera. Hours of timelines, memories, clarifications, and deep dives into Lucy's life and Elvis's hidden history. And somewhere along that unexpected road, I realized something important. That this was not just Lucy's story anymore. It had become part of mine and part of yours. This book and the restoration of Lucy, Elvis, and Desiree's truth is the result of that journey. It began with a 17-year-old singer holding a paper book in one hand and a guitar in the other at a barbecue restaurant, and it followed me across decades, miles, and music until the truth finally circled back and asked something of me. And when the truth finds you like that, you follow it. Chapter 1. There are stories that people tell, and there's stories that people hide, and stories that history hides from them. History remembers the Elvis it can explain. Lucy met the Elvis that history never bothered to learn about. What follows is not a tale of tabloid scandal or celebrity mythology. It is the story of a young French Southern girl named Lucy and a shy, sensitive, Mississippi-born Elvis, years before the world turned him into a legend and turned her into a punchline. A story sealed not by ambition but by fear, not by deceit but by trauma, and not by fame but by love. It begins in the early 1950s, 1953 to be precise, long before Elvis was Elvis. Before the gold records, before the television appearances, before the world claimed ownership of his name. It begins in a time when Elvis was simply a boy with a guitar and a dream, and Lucy was a young mother trying to survive the only way she knew how. Their paths crossed quietly. It was the fall of 1953, long before Sun Records, and just a month or two after Elvis Presley's graduation. And there were no cameras, no fans, no entourage, just a quick meeting at a small political gathering for Governor James Snow in Louisiana. Lucy was a young interpretive dancer who performed on local TV, and much to the delight of the crowd that day, she swayed to the music and with no formal training stole the hearts of most men in the crowd. Then there was Elvis. That's where I'll stop with the preview there. But anyhow, I'm excited. It's going to be a 2-part book series. And I hope to fill in some of the blanks that might be in All You Lonesome Tonight due to the fact that it was written in 1987 and research then was very difficult to come by. You did put a lot of time and energy. Derry traveled the country. He met with people. But it's funny how there's new things that are online that you can look up. And anyhow, so let's read. Chapter 29 in Child Bride. A star is reborn. By the way, send me the email. Get on the pre-order list so you can get that special price. I'm going to do it for $1.99 for y'all on the download ebook. And I'll also be giving you guys a special price on the physical copies, okay? And I'm going to be entering people that send me a receipt for the pre-order into a special drawing to have some autographed copies of the books and some special messages. All right, chapter 29, A Star is Reborn. Priscilla's other fascination with Michael Edwards, beyond the physical, was his status and expertise in the modeling profession, the goal to which Priscilla had rededicated herself once she was past the chaos and confusion surrounding Elvis's death. She had a new focus, equally as strong as her earlier determination to marry Elvis Presley. Bob Wall pointed out that Priscilla is very goal-oriented. She's very achievement-oriented and had a deep need to prove that she was more than just a trinket on Elvis's arms, and she was more than just Elvis Presley's wife. She began, as she had in her quest to become Mrs. Elvis Presley, by inventing a new persona. This time it was Priscilla Presley, the actress model. And that's who she created, said Michael Edwards. A lot of stars create this persona, and that's not who they are, and Priscilla did the same thing. She created Priscilla Presley. Mike traced this change in her to the moment in his apartment when he was snorting, let's just say Pepsi, but it's the other soft drink, hoping to have relations with Priscilla, and Priscilla was describing her secret ambition to model. The persona began at that point, and I said, well, I'll call Nina Blanchard tomorrow and take you down there. And that's when the persona really took off. See, I could open those doors for her. I was the catalyst, said Mike, because she couldn't do it on her own. She's got to have a man. So, while Michael Edwards is telling this story to Suzanne Finstead, he's propping Priscilla up a little bit on one side, saying she had this persona that she created that wasn't her to be a star. But then he basically insults her by saying she's got to have a man. She can't do it on her own. That's not the Priscilla that she tries to portray out there, right? That she's this businesswoman. She saved Graceland by herself. She's responsible for it all. She deserves to be buried next to Elvis, even if you got to dig up a grave. It's basically what I think, a lot of fans think that she wants to do. That was her request, to be buried next to Elvis. She didn't say across from it, over down there by Jesse Guerin, over by her daughter now, Lisa, and grandson Ben. She didn't say that, as far as I know, right? All right, so Nina saw Priscilla the next day with Mike and told her that she had perfect features, but she was just too short to model. Her future, advised Nina, was in commercials. Mike arranged for a photographer friend of his to take Priscilla's first commercial photos. Now, before the photo session, Mike had a serious conversation with her. "Do you really want this?" he asked Priscilla. "See, you're a sweet little girl now. You lived with Elvis, but somehow you still maintained that sweetness about you. You don't know what fame is. You don't know what it's like. It's gonna get you, Priscilla. It'll grab you and you will change." And she said, "No, I won't." "How can you tell me this, Michael? I've been around Elvis my whole life." Mike continued, "No, that spotlight was never on you. Once that light's on you and you start doing things, you'll change. And I knew what I was saying because I've been in it and seen what it did to me." Now, Mike's friend took the shots of Priscilla that day, and they were gorgeous. When she looked at them, Mike perceived that Priscilla felt she was bringing to fruition the promise of the baby beauty contestant, the carnival queen, the prettiest girl in school. I could kind of see this woman, this dynamo, who'd been sitting in there from childhood. I think our fate begins when we have our first sense of awareness of something that we have. It's like her, with her eyes and her lips and cute little figure. I think that begins way back when you're 3, 5, 7, 10, or whatever. When you first look in the mirror and you see that, and I think she sensed that it began back there. Priscilla Ann, named by her mother and after herself and actress Priscilla Lane, was fulfilling her next destiny. Priscilla made the decision with those first publicity stills to use the professional name Priscilla Presley, more cognizant than ever after Elvis's death of the value of his name. "When I establish myself in this business, I'll drop that," she had told Michael. That's just another thing she said that didn't happen, right? See, y'all are smart enough to see all that. I mean, I don't even need to say that. It's probably what you're thinking in the back of your mind. The Elvis mania that began on August 16, 1977, reached a crescendo in 1978 as the first anniversary of his death arrived. Priscilla agreed to do a short radio interview as Priscilla Presley for an ABC, Bobblehead Presley, I don't know. I'm never going to care about what that last name, how it's said. Priscilla agreed to do a short radio interview for an ABC broadcast entitled Elvis Memories, heavily publicized as her first time ever to talk about Elvis. Now, Joe Michelle was still scouting for a syndicate to broadcast her proposed special featuring Elvis in a 2-part interview discussing her life with Elvis. And she was starting to put a team together to represent her. John O'Grady, who we know as Elvis's investigator, friend of Elvis that handled the Patricia Parker paternity case, and also from what we've discovered too from Derry's investigation, asked Elvis a lot of different names of women he'd known in his life, and Desiree was one of those, which is what he knew Lucy by. And of course, we know some doubters would say, well, he should have said Lucy. Well, once again, he called her Desiree, his pet name. Yeah, he knew her name was Lucy, but she asked him to keep her private, right? So Desiree would make sense that he would say that. John O'Grady arranged an introduction to Burt Sugarman, a well-known talent agent, to conceptualize how to market Priscilla's new persona. Priscilla's companion goal established during a European phase with Ali and reinforced... Man, I can't talk right now. I bit my tongue a couple days ago, and it's been heck trying to talk. You know how that is. Ear hurts, back of the tongue hurts. All right, so I'm going to read a little bit more. I just wanted to get something out for y'all today. So let's reread this. Priscilla's companion goal, established during her European phase with Ali, and reinforced by her relationship with Michael Edwards, was to acquire sophistication and the patina of class. The most change was with Michael, commented Myrna. Myrna Smith, I guess, right, from the Sweet Inspirations, and Jerry Schilling's girlfriend, who said she groomed Priscilla. She stopped wearing all of those tassels and things. Priscilla then met Joan Quinn, also the social and socially connected wife of a Beverly Hills attorney, then the West Coast editor of Andy Warhol's hip interview magazine, at Kim Lee Gym, a meeting place for the Beverly Hills ladies who lunch, and she and Mike began spending time with Joan and her husband. Now, Joan had the same dismal perception of Priscilla's sense of style upon meeting her, as Terry O'Neill did. And attributed it largely to Priscilla's family background. Now, Priscilla looked to Joan as her social mentor and followed her about like Eve Harrington did Margot Channing in All About Eve, studying her every gesture and replicating Joan's style and sensibilities, hoping to become a Beverly Hills socialite. Now, like Eve Harrington, she was the classic arriviste. Arriviste? Arriviste. She'd never been anywhere, said Joan. She knew nothing. Joan saw Priscilla's aura of innocence, that seemingly angelic naivety that fooled so many, as a pose. I don't think she was demure. I think she was intimidated by anybody who was socially adequate. She was socially inadequate to the point of pain, of just shutting up. But she's a very smart girl, street smart. She could sit with you and be afraid to say anything, but she'll ask you where you got the shoes. She'll ask you where you got the pen. Priscilla's mystique, the sphinx-like aura of mystery and innocence she conveyed, was, to Joan, another pose. She's a poser. Is that what she's saying? That she's a poser? Another pose. A cover-up, in her opinion, for silent calculation. And then, that can give you an attitude of being aloof, very, very private. No matter how immature, how unstable, she's private. She won't tell you anything. She's always sponging from you. Now, she took your advice and example and then used it to better herself. Or I like to say, she used it to pretend, to put on an act, to put on a show, to try to get some cash money. Priscilla's act, as Joan called it, was also a disguise for a vapid personality, a style presenting herself as just a way of covering that she was nothing. I don't think she was educated, that she could even read or spell. All right, I'm going to stop that right there. I do want to go back about a paragraph when I talked about the money. How many of y'all saw the photo shoot with her granddaughters? My wife said, gosh, one of those granddaughters looks just like Lisa. And I was like, yeah, she does. And the other one looks a lot like Priscilla. And of course, Elvis too. Y'all know, I think that when Priscilla was younger, she was pretty. My wife doesn't think she was much to look at. She's not a big fan of Priscilla anyways, and I'm not either. But y'all do know, because I've been honest about this, that I was a bit of a Priscilla defender for a while, back in my younger days, and even up to recently, because I thought, gosh, the pressures that she must have been under. She was so young. And then, of course, reading Child Bride and knowing the history between her and her daughter, it became nearly impossible to defend anything at all, that was positive about Priscilla. And then, of course, reading her book, Softly As I Leave You, which I've read parts of it. already, which I'll get to doing that for sure. And I know a lot of y'all have already read it. And Andrew, of course, sent a nice report on the book and the books and Priscilla. There's a lot in here. Interesting. Not to spoil some future readings of Andrew's report, but she mentions a Barry Crocker, which in all honesty, I hadn't really heard much about him or anything at all. So that'll be interesting. We're going to learn some stuff with future parts of Andrew's, I want to say dissertation, his report, and his opinions. But anyhow, what do y'all think about that shoot? Did she do it for free? I don't think so. You know, I mean, any publicity is good publicity, though, and then maybe that got her some book tours. Maybe it made her appear hipper, younger. But I'll tell you what, we're gonna have two granddaughters that are gorgeous. One that looks like their mother, and the other one that looks a lot like Elvis, I think, and Priscilla. And if they haven't even an ounce of the talent that Riley Keough has, and if they're sweet and kind, I think that Riley is a hurt, damaged soul because of growing up with all of her mother's pain. But she's talented. Oh my goodness, she's talented. I think some of y'all watched Daisy Jones and the Six the last time I talked about that. If you haven't seen Daisy Jones and the Six, find it. It's a series. It'll show off her talent. And of course, she's filmed other TV shows and movies. If you don't want anything that's past PG-13, do not watch season 1 of The Girlfriend Experience. That has Riley Keough through it. There's other movies like American Honey. There's another show that she filmed in Canada that she is a journalist. I'm trying to find it really quick so I can tell you the title of it. And I feel like she was filming that when her mother passed away. Under the Bridge. Yeah, Under the Bridge, that's what it's called. It was released in 2024. She was in a movie called The Lodge, which is a thriller. That's a great movie. I mentioned American Honey. But yeah, she's been in a lot of stuff. Anyhow, I gotta stop, let my tongue heal, and not talk for a couple hours if possible. Yeah. Thanks so much, and please email me if you've already done it. Don't worry about sending a second one. Okay. I've gotten a ton of emails. I'm sure it came through. Unless you got something that bounced back as a message undeliverable, then yes, please send me the email again. But I definitely want to keep a clean list for my email so I can message you guys the link. It's going to be on Amazon. That's where you're going to be able to pre-order it first. Okay. I think it's Amazon Kindle, I think is what it is. And it will be definitely, it's going to be available worldwide as well. Okay, it's going to be distributed. It's going to be available for bookstores to order. I'm probably going to do some local bookstore signings, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Okay, one step at a time, one day at a time. I will end up putting it on Audible, and I will share the book on the channel probably after the first couple weeks after it's released, 2-3 weeks, something like that. Okay, and then if y'all want to read along with me, great. I don't expect you to wait. If you're excited to dig into it and read it, please. Yeah, I'm just excited, and thank you so much for all the kind emails and for requesting to be on the pre-order list. I would love for this book to go #1 in several categories in Amazon for Elvis's birthday. What better way to get Elvis's name back out there again? And of course, you know, we all love Elvis. Elvis is a member of our family. And y'all are a member of my family and a member of this community. So I want y'all to know that I greatly appreciate all the love and encouragement that you sent my way. And I have sent part of this to Desiree as well. I've asked her if she wants to contribute anything, so we'll see whether or not she does. I know she's got her own special in the work she's been working on for a while. She may or may not want to, but I do plan on having a conversation with her via phone in the next couple days, so maybe I can provide an update on stuff going on in her life. Okay? All right, till the next time, Joe sends Wherever's Photos, TCBTLC. Much love to you. Bye.